Hey everyone, in this video I want to show you another sample on how we might use some Excel data and use it inside of our WayScript layer. We'll be looking at a data set. I will show you that now. What it is a Walmart sales data from previous weeks. So it has the store, department, the date, and the sales of that week. We'll be using this data to generate a very simple forecast, and I will show you how to do that all inside of WayScript. I already have my WayScript layer created, and I will click the Develop tab to the left. The data set that I'm using is linked down below, so feel free to go and grab it if you want to follow along completely. I'll bring that data into WayScript by dragging and dropping it into the file manager. Once we have it, we will create a new file. We'll call this one requirements.txt. The requirements for this project will be these. So we have pandas, stats models, matplotlib, and tsfresh. So pandas will help us work with this data, and the other three will help us to do the forecasting on that data. There's plenty of tools in each of these libraries, so if you want to check them out, feel free to. Now let's create a Python script. We'll say something like sales forecast.py. Once we have this, I will just copy and paste in our imports. All this code is linked down below too, so if you just want to copy those and paste those in for yourself, perfect. So now let's get into working with our data. What we'll do is we will load it in. We will say df is equal to pd read CSV, because we have a CSV file and that file name. So if we're doing forecasting, we might not want to forecast across the entire company. Instead, looking at our data, let's say that we only want to forecast for one store and one department. So we have plenty enough data to do that. We will filter our data frame. We will say something like filtered df, and this will need to be a conditional filter on two different columns within our table. We want only store one and only department one. We can do that by saying df square brackets to index it, and we want to create an array of true and false values of multiple conditionals. We can do that. We'll put parentheses for our first conditional. Our first conditional will be in the data frame of the column store will be equal to the integer value of 1. Perfect. And our second one will look very similar. It will be in our data frame of the column department is equal to 1. And what that should do is give us a filtered df of just store 1, department 1. We can make sure we can print this by saying filtered df dot head and then get the first 10 lines. Awesome. So to execute for the first time, we will need our requirements inside of our environment. To get those, we will say pip install read in our requirements.txt file. This installs all those dependencies in our requirements.txt. Then, once those finish installing, we will execute our Python script. For this example, I just want to show you a very basic forecast, and there's a ton more that we can do with this in the future. So if you're curious about more methods on how we can do this, please let us know, and we'll be happy to make these videos. However, for this example, we are using a library that has a very simple forecast of tsfresh, and we can do that with one line of code. I will copy it over and we will explain it. What this line is saying is we want to create a rolling time forecast of our data. We're doing that by using this import of rolling time series. This is a function that we're using here. We're passing in the data, and all we have to do is say the columns that we want to do the forecast upon. So we have our column ID of weekly sales and our column sort of date. And this will generate that time series forecast for us. Now we can do something with that data frame. In this example, we'll just write it back to our file manager. We can do that by putting the data frame that we want to write and then to whatever file format that we want. In my case, I will use CSV, and we can name it. So we'll name it whatever you want. We'll save this and we will execute our Python script. So Python sales forecast.py. So this should print our filtered df and also generate a simple CSV of a forecast for us. Once that finishes, we should see a new file appear, which we do, and we can view it. So this has a very simple forecast for us. And like I said, there is a ton that we can do to get better forecasts in the future. I just wanted to show you a very simple way in which you might get started doing this. In the future, if you want to see machine learning videos on how we can generate automated forecasting systems, please let us know and we'll be happy to create those. But if there's any questions on this one, please let us know that as well. And until next time.